call me the cop. I toss dice with the Fed, snort reports through a straw. Made a min off a glitch in your SEC law. Got a line to the gods through a senator's text. Betting puts on your faith while I cash in what's next. I hedge your lies with a smile, make the swing look clean. Trade your kids' college fund for a bottle of lean. While you draw up your flags, I just redraw the sky. Slip a bribe in a tweet and let your thesis die. I'm the mold on your chart, the crack in your code. Burned $1 million in Vegas just to lighten the load. I ain't here for your rules, I'm the glitch in your log, yeah. Son of a bitch. That's why they call me the cop. You see red on the tape, I see blood on the altar. Ain't no angels in this pit, just dead and the dealer's daughter. I'm the tick that don't heal, the rot in your trend. Sipping lies from the bottle while I short your end. You can pray for a bounce, but I'm the coin that God robbed, yeah. Son of a bitch. That's why they call me the cop. Rest in peace to your gains. Ain't no bailout coming, just me and the wind. And the wind.
Oh, brother, oh, brother, oh, brother. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome back to another episode of the Matt Kohrs Show, where maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to figure out some of the puzzles of this overall market today. Folks, things are pretty decently green in pre-market trading. SPY slightly green, NASDAQ slightly green. The small cap sector is nicely green, up almost 1%. And then Bitcoin is arguably the belle of the ball, currently trading just below 108,000, looks to be up about 2%. And you might be wondering, why up? Why in the world are the markets green today? And my best assumption is just civil unrest. Not the same reasons as before, but once again, LA is on fire. This one isn't really a forest fire type of a situation. This is like legit civil unrest. So for whatever reason, the markets love it. They love civil unrest. And that brings us to the bullish situation we have today. Now, in reality, are we actually bullish because of civil unrest? No. Now, obviously, it's a little bit more related to the U.S.-China trade talks that are in real time underway, like right now in London. So the market obviously a bit optimistic that these talks are going to go well. So in my humble opinion, it is a binary situation. If they go well, I'm expecting the SPY to maybe pop $4. If they don't go well, I'm expecting it to drop $4 or $5. So I think that's what we're waiting for. We just have this headline potential risk or reward. It's a binary situation. It's flipping a coin. Clearly, for whatever reason, the market right now is showing signs of being a bit more optimistic. From market close on Friday to this very moment, the options market has a net situation of call buying and of put selling. When you have call buying and put selling, that is bullish. So do they know something we don't know? Maybe. I don't know. Are they just guessing? Maybe. Is the answer somewhere in the middle, or are some people in the know and then other people are just trailing those people? I don't know. That's what we're going to be finding out. So obviously, this morning, we're going to talk a little bit about the civil unrest just because it's good to know what's going on in the world. And if it gets truly out of hand, yes, it could have an impact on the economy and also the stock market. Then we're going to spend quite a bit of time talking about US and China and what's happening there. And then really we're going to spend the leftover time breaking down just what to pay attention to this week. We have two different inflation reports. We have two different major bond auctions. So I want to call those out. And then maybe a little bit of just individual company chit chat, because we know Tesla went a little crazy last week. So did Avago. This week, it's kind of like what's setting up for some nice potential moves. So I want to spend a little bit of time on our favorite individual equities. And then, of course, we should be tying this one to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is not far away from a new all-time high. So lots to get into. But very quickly before we do, just a shout out to Public. They are the partner of today's show. So if you don't know who they are, if you don't know what they do, I highly recommend you check it out. They are the place where it's my favorite place to trade options. There are no commission fees, no per contract fees, and the best thing is you earn a rebate. To start off at a higher rebate tier, there is a tier system to it. Make sure you are using that link pinned to the top of chat in the description of the video. If you just download it on your own, and it'll work perfectly fine, you will start off at a lower rebate tier. So if you want to start off at a higher one, make sure you use that link pinned to the top of chat in the description on the video, and I'll give you more of a full-fledged breakdown of what they are and what they aren't. But the chances are, if you've watched this show for any period of time, you know that we've been partnered with them for well over a year, and that's for good reason. They're just legitimately the best place to trade options, because there's no other brokerage on this planet that gives you a rebate to trade options. So definitely take advantage of that. Like I said, pinned to the top of chat in the description of the video. But really, let's see what's going on in the markets. Stock futures are a little changed with trade talks, inflation data on deck this week. We will be breaking it all down right here. Pre-market trading, SPY slightly green, Q slightly green, small cap sector looking amazing, Bitcoin looking amazing, and obviously we'll get into individual tickers. But first, LA protests stretched into third night after chaotic Sunday. Protesters clashed with police downtown, with crowds spilling onto highways and demonstrators setting fires to driverless cars. The Google-owned driverless cars are not having a good day. I was seeing a lot of videos, a lot of pictures of them fully engulfed in flames. So that's pretty crazy. But more important than that is the fact that people are getting legitimately hurt. If you happen to be in this area, if your family's in this area, my thoughts are with you. This is just, whenever this stuff happens, it's just so crazy. So if you're being impacted this by your friends or your families, if they're being impacted by all this, I just hope everyone, no matter what side, whether it's the cop side, the protester side, I hope they are safe, because it's just a crazy situation. LA clashes escalate as Trump Newsom spar over the National Guard. So check this out. It is wild. And okay, I do have this sound on. So fourth day, third night. We are entering the fourth day right now, and it's not really showing too many signs of relenting. It's crazy. Obviously, protesters, law enforcement, the poor horses who have nothing to do with this, they're getting tear gassed. You have what's crazy about it is it's still being described as mostly peaceful, which I haven't, to be honest, I haven't cracked open the dictionary in quite a while, but I guess they must have changed the definition of peaceful, because how is this mostly peaceful? I guess they just changed the definition. Once again, mostly peaceful. Wild. So you get a little bit, obviously, if you go on Twitter or X, you can get even more. I still find it comedic, truly, that it is being described as mostly peaceful, but not related to this at all. Where I'm in New York, I spent some time this weekend for the first time ever. I went to Ellis Island. And like I said, obviously, somewhat connects to the story going on. And I think a lot of people in the modern era kind of think like way back when, and this is something I learned. I'm guilty of this as well. I thought back when we had this Ellis Island immigration wave, which was in the late 1800s, early 1900s. It lasted about 3 decades, and I believe there was 26 million immigrants who came into the U.S. in that roughly 30-year time period. Ended in the mid 1920s, started around 1890. Obviously from all over the world. That's like the story of Ellis Island, and as I was going through it, like I said, I assumed it was just kind of easy. Like you just showed up and you're like, we are here. And the U.S. is like, hey, cool. We need more people. Why not join the party? I found out that was crazy, crazy wrong. Did you guys know that back then, the late 1800s, early 1900s, via Ellis Island, when all these immigrants were coming in, they really didn't have an issue denying you. If they thought you were going to be a public charge, as in a financial burden to the country, sent you back. If they thought that your political ideology at that time, there was like some issues with communism globally, sent you back. If they thought you were insane, literally just their own opinion, like, nope, this is a crazy person, sent you back. If they thought you had mental disabilities, sent you back. There was a laundry list of reasons that as they were checking people into Ellis Island, it was about 1,000 people a month that they're like, imagine this, after an 8 to 14 day voyage, that was like the average length of time that people were on these boats in clearly not comfortable conditions. Imagine doing that. You go all that time, almost 2 weeks, just on this like very, very uncomfortable boat. And then they saw you and like, sorry about that. And just sent you right back. Like that legit happened. Legit happened. So obviously I had this plan for a bit, just wanted to learn a little bit about more of what's going on in the world. So I do find it interesting that just by pure chance it's kind of aligning with a new immigration issue here, except this time obviously on the other side of the country, but absolutely wild. And with this, like I said, just there's so many people being impacted. And I guess I hope, like I said, for anyone in here, if you're in LA, if you have family, friends in LA, I just hope everyone's safe. I don't want to see anyone getting harmed. This stuff is crazy. So like I said, my thoughts go out to you. I hope just you, your friends, your family are all good. But it is a narrative we're going to have to pay attention to, because you never know how crazy it could get, not only from just the protests, from right here, you have Newsom, the governor, and Trump. I believe officially as of this morning, Newsom is suing Trump for sending the National Guard there. For whatever reason, Newsom doesn't want the National Guard there. He's saying that it's provoking it. I don't know. The whole thing is completely messy. And the major TLDR I have for all of you is, in any way, if you guys are being impacted by this, I hope you are 100% safe. Now, bringing it back to the larger market, China and the U.S. trade officials to hold talks in London. That is going down right now. Right now, as we are chit-chatting, talking about whatever is happening in the market today, these talks are live between the U.S. officials, China officials, and ideally, in a little bit, we get some positive news from it, and we see the market really rip. But obviously, if you look at what's going on in the options market, they're basically saying we're going to have a muted day. Captain Condor is back saying we're not going to go that far up, we're not going to go that far down. So even though we have potential headline news to drive the market up or down, the options market in real time is saying we're not going to get that big of a move. If anything, the IV is a little bit muted. U.S. trade officials are meeting with their Chinese counterparts in London, a 2-day right now in real time. You have Besant there, you have Lutnick and Greer. And they're meeting Lai Fang, maybe is how you pronounce it. I'm probably butchering it. My apologies. Both sides temporarily slashed tariffs on each other's imports to allow trade talks to continue, but disagreements remain. I have a sneaky suspicion that China is going to be kind of giving us what we want pretty soon, and it's going to relate to some of these rare earth minerals, if you will. China extends an olive branch to Western auto giants over rare earth shortage, and you might be wondering, why would China want to play ball right now? Well, we just got some pretty bad news out of their economy. China's exports to the U.S. suffer biggest decline since 2020. Shipments to the rest of the world jump, but overall growth export slows, and more importantly, China consumer prices slump again, deepening deflation worries as demand stays weak. So we haven't really touched on this too much in recent history, but when this whole trade war started, one of the main things I was trying to pitch to you guys is China's going to acquiesce to what Trump wants in general, because even though this is, in a certain sense, not mutually assured destruction, but mutually assured like pain with this trade war. Well, coming into it, we were in the best position on a relative basis, as in we could take the most pain before we have to fold. So like I said, it's going to be painful for everyone involved, but we're going to start to see other countries break before we do. Other countries' economies really weaken and take some pain before we do. And right here, that's what we're seeing. China consumer prices slump again, deepening deflation worries as demand stays weak. So are we in some of our own pain? Without a doubt. I would not disagree with that. The issue is in this trade war, other countries are going to be more willing to come to some sort of agreement because, once again, it's all a relative measure. They're in more pain. So maybe that's part of the reason why the economy is, or the market early this morning is telling us, hey, things are looking pretty decent. So just maybe we're going to get some positive news from the talks that, once again, are happening in real time. The reason I'm stressing that is because if I had to guess, at a random point today, we're all going to see a big green bar or a big red bar, one of those two, and we're all going to say, what's the news? What's the news? And then awkwardly a minute or two later, things are going to start to get reported of either the talks went well or didn't go well. So that's like a base assumption. At a random point today, we're going to either see a spike or a drop, and it's going to be just people who have the information faster than us trading off of how the talks either did or didn't go. U.S.-China to resume trade talks with focus on rare earths.
Do we have any reason to be optimistic that this moves the ball on Monday?
Well, I think everybody's happy that the movement of the ball is forward, even though it's really very small. It was unclear to almost everybody as to exactly what Chinese actions the president was objecting to. That is why he decided to threaten the Chinese again over the past couple weeks. Whatever it was, it looks like it has been resolved. The Chinese do have export controls on certain critical minerals, and it has been taking time to get approvals for those exports to be made to the United States, which is what the Chinese agreed to the last time the two delegations met. But we don't know what will happen in London on Monday.
I.e.
There's
today.
a lot that we don't know about what the U.S. is actually asking from China. The really big tariffs have been removed, but there's still 30% plus, of course, the whole first trade war tariffs.
Well, that's certainly true. And as you mentioned, export controls that China has in place. The U.S., of course, has export controls of its own that have actually expanded since the détente was reached in Geneva. Mary, how much more complicated does that
So where
make
do you don't hear that
joining
often?
one another
We
at
should
the
use it more.
negotiating table, where even when you're putting tariffs aside, there are still other areas in which the U.S. is actively trying to restrain China?
Yeah, Kayla, you brought this up before, and it's very important to keep this in mind. The U.S. has been using export controls on China, on the transfer of technology to China since the first Trump administration.
This is big for the semiconductor
really ramped
industry.
up during the Biden administration, and now again we're seeing further ramping up. Most recently, with the U.S. restricting Chinese access to the software that designs the advanced semiconductor chips that are at the heart of our export controls. But they've been doing other things. They've been adding firms to the entity list. And I think something that China particularly objects to, which is that they've been strong-arming governments to remove China from their supply chains as part of their negotiations with other countries that are trying to also get out from under of the so-called reciprocal tariffs that the president announced on so-called Liberation Day. So there's a lot still going on that looks a lot like decoupling progress. Whether we can get these really, I think, quite destructive tariff rates down permanently so that firms can begin to make plans, that's what we're really trying to keep our eye on.
All right, that's a pretty good breakdown of just Bloomberg's take on the situation of everyone's kind of hoping to get some clarity. The market doesn't like uncertainty, as in like, what are the numbers going to be? What are the tariffs are going to be? What's the trade situation going to be like? Because as their interviewee here was explaining, okay, from there, businesses can actually plan. But right now we're in this like awkward no man's land. So hopefully from these talks, we soon get clarity. Now, on top of that, which is going to have a huge impact on the trading week this week, don't forget Wednesday of this week, in 2 days, we're going to get the CPI report. Even though a lot of people are jacking this up as like massively important, and in a certain sense it is important because it's the last inflation reading, the last CPI we're going to be getting before the next FOMC meeting. So just from there, we get an idea, is inflation high or low? Yes, there's going to be impact. But what's really interesting, and you could actually see this on Spot Gamma, the options market is not betting on a big move from it really at all. It's once again kind of muted implied vol. So just is something interesting that we're seeing in the option structure to note. Also, we're going to be getting the 10-year note auction at 1 p.m. on the same day. This is all for Wednesday, June 11th. And then on Thursday, we're going to get the producer price index. So we go from consumer inflation to producer inflation, and then that same day, we're going to be getting the 30-year bond auction. So there are four major, I would say, macroeconomic events this week, data drops. 2 of them are inflation, 2 of them are bond auctions. So paying attention to those Wednesday and Thursday. And then obviously at any point this week, we could be getting an update related to the trade war. So paying attention to that. And then moving on to individual equities. We are really, truly not in earnings season, but I do want to call out GameStop. I know that from way back when, your boy got put on the map of social media for GameStop. I thought it was a fun, active trade, made some money to the upside, started a fall. I got out of it, moved on with my life. And people, for whatever reason, were misconstruing active trading for investing. And then for the longest time, I said, I'm not going to talk about it until there's a reason to talk about it. And that has now been for years, where people were trying to make it a thing when it was not a thing. Well, we are now at the point where it might once again become a thing. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because fundamentally, as a company, they've now made moves. They've added, I believe, 4,700 Bitcoin to their balance sheet because, remember, they were cash rich. They had billions of dollars from various offerings to raise money. And then for quite a while, and I've been on record saying this, that the interesting thing about GameStop has nothing to do with the brick and mortar stores. That's stupid. That's a bad business. But as we saw historically with Warren Buffett buying Berkshire Hathaway, some of you in the audience might not know this, but Berkshire Hathaway originally was a textile company. He bought it and then turned it into an investment vehicle. And right now we know Ryan Cohen, the current chairman and CEO of GameStop, he has publicly said he has those types of ambitions, kind of a mixture between Warren Buffett and other somewhat people you could describe as corporate raiders. We don't really have to get into that. But anyway, that might be GameStop's path. GameStop might, in years from now, have literally nothing to do with brick and mortar video game selling and action. It literally might have nothing to do with it. It might become a Berkshire Hathaway where you're investing into a fund that they just end up buying a bunch of other companies doing the XYZ. And right now we're seeing obviously a clear pivot into Bitcoin over 4,700, maybe a strategy. I'm talking about strategy-esque situation where they become just basically a Bitcoin ETF. Are they able to lever it up? Obviously, we've seen a lot of success with MSTR, and that has its own filing. And we know historically, GameStop just has its own support group. So I see some interesting things going on that I just wanted to call out. They will be reporting after the market closes on Tuesday. And for many, many quarters now, I truly did not care about it at all. But for the first time in years, I actually kind of do care about these earnings because I want to know if we're going to get any indication of what the plan is for the company moving forward. Are they going to be committing to a larger investment vehicle approach? Are they going to be doing just Bitcoin? Are they not going to talk about it at all? Are they going to have some sort of other surprise? I don't know. I'm just saying it's worthwhile to pay attention to. Also, I should note that Oracle will be reporting after the market closes on Wednesday, just another important tech name. So the two I really care about this week, GameStop on Tuesday, Oracle on Wednesday, get an idea of what's going on in the tech sector, and then maybe just an interesting narrative update on Tuesday. But I should note here on GameStop, and I already see some people commenting on it, I actually think it would be horrible if Roaring Kitty at all comes back. If he had all, we have seen this, in June of last year or 2 years ago, whenever he tried to make a comeback, he ended up just he was clearly pumping his own bags. He dumped it on everyone following him. It was actually kind of a really, really sad fall from grace. I think it's that saying, like, whatever, live long enough to see yourself become a villain. We saw him dump it on everyone. Was it June of last year or 2 years ago? Whenever it was, he had that June comeback, and it was devious what happened, and everyone wanted to follow it, and they thought it was going to be so exciting. And then we can see from the option trading that he was just dumping it on people. So I think it would actually be better for the narrative, better for the story if he kind of stays quiet, stays as this mysterious figure, and people can build up whatever narrative they want behind him. But it's one of those things that don't meet your heroes, and we saw how it played out before, and it was not good. And he basically used his positioning within the community to just dump it on people. So I should clarify, if this happens, it is not a short squeeze play. Back in 2021, when this thing went haywire, it was over 120, 140% short interest. GameStop is not heavily shorted. If anything, depending on what Ryan Cohen does or doesn't say, it might just become an actual investment depending on what their plan is for the company. So I just want to be very clear here that the numbers we currently have surrounding GameStop are not suggesting a short squeeze. They are not. The short interest is not there. But remember, stocks can go up without being a short squeeze. If people just think that it's trading at too low of a value relative to what it should be at, people buy, and there's buying demand, and it goes up. So very much, evidently, things can go up without being a short squeeze. So I just want to be very clear of where we are in this whole situation. The other interesting stock from last week is old Tesla. And it became interesting because lost $150 billion because Elon lost his mind and started accusing the sitting president of being on the Epstein list or being in the Epstein files. And then that's why they were not being released. And then all of a sudden he said he was going to decommission one of the flights or one of the spacecrafts. And then all of a sudden you have Trump saying he's going to cut the EV tax credits, and it was a whole thing. And after one day, it was Thursday of last week, everyone started to walk it back pretty quickly. It seems as if cooler heads finally started to prevail, which is obviously a positive thing. But even there, Trump warns Musk of serious consequences if he backs the Democrats. I doubt he will. Like I said, he calmed down pretty quickly. Elon Musk appears to delete some of the explosive ex-posts amid feud with Trump, specifically the Epstein one. He got rid of that, and he said, all right, maybe walking that back. And other politicians are starting to weigh him. Speaker Johnson hopes Musk and Trump can reconcile their differences after a public fallout. Over the weekend, we did hear from Trump saying he has no reason to ever speak to Musk again. I think it might just be a couple, I think they might just kind of go their own ways. We're seeing some olive branches on the Musk side, especially he's tweeting and retweeting some positive things related to Trump. So I think he's trying to get back into his good graces, and maybe they will, maybe they won't. But that was definitely an awkward day. Someone definitely a little bit of mistiming of their medicine, if you will. So probably another ticker worthwhile to pay attention to this week. If you haven't already, sign up for the newsletter, mattkohrs.locals.com. It's always been free, always will be free. It's in the description of the video. My mom will drop it in chat right now. Every single Sunday around 10 a.m., you're going to be getting a breakdown of what happened in the previous week, what to look forward to in the upcoming week, a little shorthand of all the major macroeconomic events and earnings right here. Here's the earnings. Here's the macro. Oh, we actually have the 3-year note auction tomorrow. So we actually have 3 different ones, 3, 10, and 30. The 10 and the 30 are more important, but you might want to be paying attention to the 3-year note auction. Once again, that's tomorrow at 1 p.m. And then most useful, especially for my active traders in here, is going to be the seasonality of each individual day, which is kind of interesting because from a seasonality standpoint, the week we are in right now, even though the month of June does slightly favor the bull camp, this particular week is actually one of the most bearish weeks of the entire year. So today in itself, Monday, June 9th, does favor the bulls, leaning bullish. Obviously, this is a look at the hypothetical equity curve you would have if you bought it open, sold at close. But then Tuesday, bearish, Wednesday, bearish, Thursday, bearish. So once again, this is seasonality. Just to round it out, Friday is a little bit more bullish. But based on the past 5 years worth of data, this individual week is the worst week of the entire year. Now, is seasonality the end all be all? Well, of course not. And especially this year, you could argue, hey man, we either get positive news related to China and we go up, or we get negative news and go down. Obviously, that's a very fair argument. So take it with a grain of salt, please. Like this, I would never say that seasonality is the end all be all. I just wanted to let you guys know from a data standpoint, this is actually the past 5 years, it's the most bearish week. So pay attention to that. And then I also do want to remind everyone, by the time we get to the end of June, from the end of June, the final week of June to the end of July, there's a 5-week period, which is actually one of the most bullish stretches of the entire calendar year. So between now and the end of June, it's a bit more choppy. Some years it's bullish, some years it's bearish. It's nothing too crazy. It's not seasonally dominant really either way. But by the time you get to the end of June, all the way to the end of July, that 5-week period, once again, is one of the most bullish points of the entire year. So just wanted to remind everyone of that, of where we are kind of in that whole situation. Right now in pre-market trading, we have about, 45 seconds to go. SPY is going to open green. Qs appear to be opening green. The small cap sector definitely opening green. Bitcoin giving a little bit back after a very nice push. So let me switch everything to the 1 minute over here, just so we can better see it. IWM. What do you guys want to have up today? We could put up Tesla because that might be going crazy. It's down a little bit in pre-market trading. I know we have some Palantir, or maybe I'll put a Tesla up here. Tesla's coming down. Palantir is down 3%. How's Avago? Avago's down a little bit. Meta is kind of break even. MSTR is up. We could pay attention to that. Microsoft hit an all-time high. Netflix is a little green. Whoa. That was far too loud. My apologies. Anywho, dingity ding ding ding. The world's largest casino is now open. Best of luck to all. Play responsibly, and if not, have fun. I guess that's my new software that also has its own market open alert there. Yeah, I'm trying to run a new piece of software just to do a little bit better Skynet robotic trading, and I didn't realize that it had its own audio associated with market open. But hey, the more you know. So as always, especially on a Monday, I'm going to try to wait, be patient, see what's going on. We have a couple alerts doing this, that, the other thing. Tesla, not too much. NVIDIA is catching a bit out of the gate. Interesting. SPY a little bit down. Q's a little bit down. These are the key levels I'm watching today. This is going to come as a surprise to no one that has a pair of functioning eyeballs, but 6,000 is going to be a major support level. And in fact, this white box is my transition zone. Above 6,000, bulls are in control. Below 5,990 on a 0 DTE basis, the bears are in control. But overall, as long as we're holding 5,900 in more of a swing perspective, I would say the bulls are in control. So a little bit of a difference between the 0 DTE versus like more of a swing play. But for my day traders out there, I am looking for support to be found at the closing value from Friday, which also happens to be a massive psychological level and also a massive just open interest level. Once again, 6,000. I'm paying attention to this, hoping we could bounce out of it. Then I'm looking at 6,020, another big open interest level. And then the top side of Captain Condor today, the call credit spreads, not debit spreads. They sound similar, but they're exactly opposites of each other. Anyway, this is a call credit spread, as in Captain Condor is betting on the market closing below this value. That would be my next major upside target. So basically looking for support at 6,000, then 6,020, then 6,040. And if Captain Condor gets clapped, then I'm looking for 6,060. Now on the flip side, if the closing value from Friday does not hold, if the transition level does not hold, then I'm looking for a test of the closing value, or excuse me, the low value on Friday around 5,980. And then from there, we have an interesting 5-point zone between 5,950 and 5,955. So I'd be looking for somewhere in here. So the ladder right here, that's my bear case. The first thing I went over is bull case. My personal bias right now, based on what we're seeing in the options market, is the bull case. We're going to wait and see how the market really opens. But as of market open today, like right when the bell went dingity ding 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 at 9:30, I would say from an empirical standpoint, there's a better argument for the bulls being in control than the bears being in control. Now, obviously that could change on a moment's notice, but just looking at the, like I said, the net situation for the 0 DT was call buying and put selling. That's two different ways to really push those delta values up. When you buy calls, that adds positive delta. When when you sell puts, well, that's selling negative. So you're really removing negative delta from the system, pushing the overall delta even higher. So it'd be interesting to see if we could see a bounce right out of this. The SPY equivalent is around 599. Remember, SPX is the actual index, while SPY is the ETF created to track the index. So even though SPY is large and very liquid, SPX, the actual index, is far larger and far more liquid. So I'm not saying SPY is illiquid. It's probably the second most liquid thing in the entire market, but the most liquid thing is going to be the actual S&P 500, which is why I personally care more about tracking these levels. Now, if you want to trade SPY while using SPX levels, hey, have at it. I get that. Just nominally it's cheaper and maybe like those options better, maybe like American over European. Hey, like whatever your reason is your reason. But when it comes to like, hey, where are the key levels? Where are the big players positioned? Well, the big players are going to be trading SPXs, which is why I would argue it's a bit more important to be paying attention to. That's why 6,000's here, maybe 599 on SPY might be a full dollar value, and you might be saying, hey, I trade from dollar to dollar, but then in looking at SPX, you get a true appreciation for how important 599 on SPY is. But anyway, the SPY and the Qs both opened above their closing value from Friday, which is a bullish signal. We sold all the way down to the closing value, hitting the close gap. And now let's just see if we can actually base here and bounce out of it. But obviously time will tell. Let me reload this so we can see the options flow out of the gate. All right, thus far this morning, options are pretty much flat. And then on the Mag 7, they're catching a bid right now as we speak, even though price isn't moving. So the delta just started to pop about 4 minutes into the trading session. But thus far, price has not reacted necessarily in the way that you thought it would. So this will be interesting. NVIDIA is actually nicely green, and so is MSTR. So NVIDIA up about by 2%. You have MSTR up about 2%. Tesla fighting it out in the mid 280s. Meta trying to go green. What else do we have? Tesla's down 3.7% right now. Meta chilling just below 700. NVIDIA did try to pop. So the SPY and the Q still being walked down. Now we opened up in the bullish eye, but we got sucked into this transition zone. So let's see if we could bounce out of it, or are we going to puke out the south side and then the bears take control on a 0 DT basis? Time will tell. Remember, these the white horizontal line is the previous closing value. The yellow ones are the key open interest levels. The red and the green are the previous trading sessions high and low. And then this white box from a 0 DTE perspective, looking at both the gamma and the delta, that's the transitional zone where we get an idea of where the market makers are going to start to behave differently in an effort to balance out their book. So right here, this is a transitional zone, and a better way to describe the price action within these transitional zones is just kind of like choppy whipsaw. So once again, bullish above, bearish below, choppy whipsaw within. So let's just wait. Well, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not your mom. You're in control of your own money. I wish you the best of luck with whatever degenerate trades you try to pull off. But for me, I want to wait for a little bit better of a signal. Let me... And actually... I'm about to get a signal, but we're only 7 to 8 minutes into the day. Do I really want to do this right now? Do I really want to be trading this early, or do I want to wait for signals later on? What am I trading? All right, I'm on ES. Interesting. It's a little early for my liking, but you never know when signals are actually going to fire off. Do I want to take it? What would the risk be? The risk would be about the intraday low. We're coming back up to VWAP. Even here, both NQ and ES overshot VWAP. Interessante, mi amigo. Do I want to trade this early? The signal hasn't fired yet. It's looking for a bullish signal, and I'm just trying to get mentally prepared if I want to take the first signal of the day, or if I want to wait for whatever, the second or the third or something like that. I'm just trying to get mentally prepared for the appropriate thing to do. We might be recovering. Here's a look. Mag 7 is trying to grind up. The S&P 500 is now actually just made a delta high. Decisions. Looks like we try to retest 6,000, and thus far, no cigar. No cigar on the 6,000 retest. So maybe we just give it a beat. Maybe we just give it a minute, which is perfect anyway, because I need to shout out Public. They are today's stream sponsor, pinned at the top of chat in the description of the video. Folks, this is where I have almost $500,000 of my own dollars, because it is the options platform, the options trading platform that, in my humble opinion, is the best. Why is it the best? Because it's the only one that gives you a rebate to trade options. So no matter if you're profitable, you'll be more profitable as an option trader. If you're not so profitable, well, at least the pain will be less, because you get a rebate for every single options contract you trade. Doesn't matter if it's call or put, doesn't matter if you're buying or selling, doesn't matter if it's straight up or more of a complex strategy, you get a rebate for every single options contract you trade. It is free to download. It is free to sign up. There are no commission fees. There are no per contract fees. That in itself is why I love Public. And then it really goes even further back into 2021. I believe that they treated their clients the best when we realized that so many other brokerages only cared about their relationships with the market maker. Public went the other way and said, no, our traders, our investors are our major clients. And that's what they proved. So from there, obviously they have stock trading. There's no payment for order flow. They have investment accounts. They have crypto trading. They have bond trading. This is a one-stop shop for what you need. And like I said, just from the option side alone, it's why it's my favorite platform. But then the other stuff is all just sprinkles on top. Highly recommend you guys check it out. Make sure you use that link pinned to the top of chat. It's also in the description of the video, because you're going to start off at the higher rebate tier. So folks, if you're an options trader, an aspiring options trader, with just full honesty, it'd be like, in my opinion, how could you not at least want to test this out? Once again, pinned to the top of chat in the description of the video. Shout out to Public. And look at that. We've gone nowhere. We sold, maybe basing, maybe a higher low on the SPY, but we made a lower low on the Qs. Tesla's trying to catch a bit of a bid. So is Nvidia. Avago's getting hit. Tesla's looking somewhat decent. Palantir's turning around. Nvidia, MSTR. So everything, well, Meta's popping a little bit right there. Oh, what's the flow look like? Okay, so the flow is strong. This is interesting. This price is not looking good in the Qs, but yet the options market is telling us that the bulls are actually doing fine. People are just selling their puts. So we're not seeing aggressive bearishness, even though price is going. Even here, the SPY got hit, but guess what? We just made a new delta high. Well, my one signal just fired. Do I want to take it, though? My one signal just fired. It just fired on this VWAP recapture. Yes, no, maybe so. Yes, no, maybe so. Yes, no, maybe so. Yes, no, maybe so. Do I want to take this? I'm torn. I'm torn, team. Yes, no, maybe so. Yes, no, maybe so. Yes, no, maybe so. Do I want to or don't I want to? It's a tough one. It's a tough one. Oh, brother. Oh, brother. Oh, brother. Oh, brother. Oh, brother. Decisions. Guess that's what life's all about. Obviously, I haven't traded yet today. It feels a little bit early. It did want me, basically, the one signal. I got a bullish signal from my 1 hour ago popping off on this VWAP recapture. But it's just so early right now. But we also just recaptured 6,000. That feels pretty freaking important. Feels pretty freaking important. Meta's going, Tesla's going. Well, golly. We did bounce right out of the transition zone. That is nice. I'm just wondering, is it going to retest before it really goes? That's what I don't want to be chasing this breakout. Like, I want to get in on a bit of a better fill. I don't mind going bullish right here because I can see Mag 7 popping off. I could see the SPY popping off. I could see that we're bullishly bouncing out of this transitional zone, setting up a potential push all the way up to 6,020. I like it. It's just I'm trying to be a little bit more greedy with my entry, as in taking on less risk. That's what I'm looking for. I don't necessarily want to chase this 5 minutes of bullishness where I might be able to get in on a dip and cut my risk in half or something like that. So I still like the bullish side. It's just more of, can I fine tune this entry? Can I fine tune this entry and just take on less risk or be a bit more confident? Because right here, if I do it, I'm either risking the 938 low or the 936 low. Well, if we bounce right out of here, I might be able to risk an even closer low, as in literally taking on less risk. How's the NQ? NQ is actually holding its VWAP. What time is it? 9:44.
Order submitted.
All right. Let's see if we could shake off this weekend rust. Let's see if we could shake off this weekend rust. All right, we just took a long trade. Hopefully, I'm hoping that this 944 bar is just a higher low that I could play off of. But what I really like is that the Mag 7, even when price was going down, the delta flow was positive, and a similar situation on the SPY. Similar situation on the SPY. I just need a level that I could potentially target here. And I really want to do it with the most minimal risk possible. The most minimal risk possible. Come on. SPY trying to go from green to red and red back to green. Same thing on the Qs here. Green to red, red back to green. Will this hold? Some sort of decision. Meta was looking good. Tesla was looking good. NVIDIA, did that one end up bouncing back around? We're awkwardly loading here. All right, the SPY catching a bid. Maybe I should have executed this via SPY or on the S&P 500 rather than the NASDAQ. The reason I did it on the NASDAQ was it seemingly was lagging a bit behind, so I was just trying to get like less of a risk. Cool band name, Weekend Rust. I like it. All right, SPY went from lower highs and lower lows to dipping about 6 minutes in, whether we had some profit taking from the weekend, whatever it was. But now we clearly have higher highs and higher lows. The question is, will it be able to take out the intraday high? Tesla is popping. All right, that's the intraday high. That's the intraday high. All right, marking out. We're about 15 minutes into the day, so we have the 15-minute Orbo, the opening range, the high, the low. We're just looking for which way will the opening range break, higher or lower. I'm getting some mixed signals, but I don't know. This options flow was strong. SPY's holding up a bit better. At any random moment, we could be getting news related to the U.S. Post, notice the steel, all right, blah, blah, blah. Market open imbalance, mixed. Trump and Netanyahu will discuss Iran. Okay, they're talking today. So that's another thing to consider. Ooh. I'm not the biggest fan if it takes out that low. Oh, this is
order canceled.
I was going to say it's going to knock me out early, but the bot was saying to risk something a little bit farther away. I could always re-enter. So I had a very tight risk, basically, if it took that out, which You could argue smart or not. Obviously, it was close. It was minimal risk, so I did get clipped, unfortunately, down 350. It's manageable. It's more of the issue of I was wondering if it was going to do exactly this. Son of a gun. A little fake out here. All right, I want to see where this bar closes. I might be giving this another shot soon. I was worried about a vomit below VWAP, but knowing my luck, a little flush here, and then we pop it anyway. Trying to give it a second. It did close back above it. It did close back above it. Let me double check. Let me do a sanity check here. Oh, that's bullish. That's bullish. Bearish, bearish. That's testing. That's back to bullish. That's bullish. So they did wick down. It's attempting to hold 6,000. But it's not convincingly quite yet. I guess just range bound. Do I take a second stab at it, risking this recent low? What's the flow looking like? Mag 7 trying to pick back up. SPY did get hit, but maybe potentially bouncing. What time is it? It's 9:49. 9:49. Oh, just got to look for that low risk entry. I guess I could have given it a little bit more room to breathe and I would have been fine at this point, but I just was a little nervous about it. I didn't want to take on a high risk trade right out of the gate. But look at that. I would have been already back to being green. It just barely wicked me out. Son of a gun. I'm about to get another bullish signal depending on where this goes. Yeah. Shoot. All right, I'm taking it.
Order submitted.
All right. Bot is calling for 35 with a risk of... Where's the bot putting its risk at? 70. All right. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. How lucky can one guy get? 36, actually. 36 is the risk. Wait, what does it want? It's 7. Am I reading this wrong? Yeah, it's saying risk at 66. All right. Risk is set. I'll keep trailing the risk up behind it if I'm lucky enough that price keeps going. But that is definitely the set target. Well, it's technically 36. Okay, right there. All right, there's the target. There's the risk. And I will just ideally keep following price with my risk. So we'll see how it goes. So first trade of the day, small loss. I might have been a little bit... we're about to get that Orbo breakout to the upside on the Qs. About to get that Orbo breakout to the upside. I could have probably given it a little bit more room, honestly. The very first trade, but I just didn't want to take that much. I think that was a little silly. I could have been a bit better. But anyway, I do like this recapture. We went into the transitional zone, bounced out, tested. We're seemingly holding. I would have high confirmation on this if SPX can get above whatever this recent high is right here, 6,003.58. If we can push above and hold above that, I would feel real good about my current play. I'd feel real good about it, but time will tell. It depends on what other people are about to buy and sell. Mag 7, the delta flow is up. SPY is now flat after a nice push to the upside. I do have one more tool that I can look at for all of us. That's nothing too special as of right now. Seems like the generic options positioning is suggesting that we're going to close somewhere between 5,950 and 6,040. That seems to be the bands. On the day would actually happen to be perfectly overlapped with the Condor position, which is no surprise. It's the condor position that is putting that influence. The Qs got their Orbo breakout, their 15-minute Orbo breakout right here at 952. We did get that push. The SPY is halfway in its range. So the SPY is nowhere close to it, but the Qs are. How's the small cap sector doing? Sold off and not catching itself really at all quite yet, unfortunately. All right, how's this play doing? I am green. I'm halfway back to being break even. Where should my risk be? My risk should be a bit higher. Oh, well, that's not exactly what I want to see. Not exactly what I would like to see. Why can't we just see a nice rip to the upside? Tesla taking a little bit of a breather. You have Meta pop, pull back, basing at 701 right off that key level of 700. Obviously, people are going to react to that. SPY for the gazillionth time today is testing 599, which is the closing value, but more importantly, that's SPX at 6,000. So hopefully the bulls can hold it. We take out this recent high at 950, and then we push up to the first minute of the day's high and see if we could take that out, which on SPX would be a bit closer to 6,010. And hopefully with that, that means that the Qs are pushing themselves to the next level. The 5-minute on NQ is bullish. The 10-minute on NQ is bullish. The 30-minute is bullish, and so is the 4-hour. So all 4 time frames on the tech sector, the momentum, the price momentum is bullish. The S&P 500 is a bit different. The 5-minute is bearish. The 10-minute is right neutral. 30-minute is bullish, and 4 hours bullish. So bearish, neutral, bullish, bullish. So the SPY is a bit weaker on a relative basis to the NASDAQ from a momentum perspective. So really, this recapture of this candle, so not only is that the intraday breakout of the pit session, but from an EMA perspective, that would be a nice win. And even this push right here would be a nice win, this 10-minute getting back up in here. So that's what we're monitoring. It does appear as if we did just break that high, so that's good. So the bot isn't calling for this, but I am really strongly considering moving my risk up. Well, move it up a little bit. I just want to drag behind it. I'm looking at this low, but for a second there, I was looking at this low, this 954 low. And the reason why I'm thinking about it is because it seems as if we hit 10 a.m. and there's just some craziness, and the craziness might benefit me and it runs me up to my profit target. But remember, I think it's better as an active trader to be a little bit more focused on what could happen if it goes completely wrong, rather than what if you just get lucky and it goes right. So what's running through my mind right now is I have about 3 minutes where there might be a host of orders that go against me. And if they go against me, I'd rather get out only for a 5-point loss, $100, rather than a 25-point loss, $500. So that's why I'm kind of looking at this shelf of trades right here. I'm thinking, but then if they target 800, maybe I move it up to 795, give it a little bit of a leeway. Right now, my risk is where the system is telling me to put the risk. It's almost exactly at it. It is exactly at it. Technically, it's 76. But I'm thinking about maybe overriding it a little bit and taking on even less risk. If I override it, it's generally to take on less risk. If I'm overriding it and taking on more risk, that's generally when I'm doing dumb stuff and where I get in a lot of trouble. But if we could take out this high, that would give some sentiment to really de-risking the situation. If I could go to here, it's only a 6-point risk. That's only $100. And then if it runs, that risk to reward is phenomenal. Oh, we will find out. The SPY tried to get going there. So did SPX. But look, it went right up. All right, the Mag 7 still slowly but surely grinding up, while the SPY did pop, took a hit, but now the longer duration is showing a bit more enthusiasm. Not really doing the... Tesla's looking good. Meta's looking good. What else? Ooh, I don't like that hit in the market. That's not so good. What time is it? 9:57. Almost 58. So I have 2 minutes to the change of the hour. And we know that recently it's become more popular for a round of bots to run there. Not as massive as market open or close, like the market on open and market on close bots. Like those are huge numbers. Shit. I'm not liking the vibe here, folks. My spidey senses are tingling, but it doesn't matter. The system's the system. I got to remind myself of that. Just stick to the system. Just be a cold, heartless robot. A cold, heartless robot. All right, the SPY is literally just battling it out at that closing value. It's just battling it out at 6,000. So maybe this is another higher low. We have a low at 35, a low at 43, a low at 48. Maybe we just get another higher low, and this leads to a new breakout at 6,004. Or maybe this is a lower high and we vomit. Either could be theoretically true. Oh, brother. Oh, brother. Oh, brother. Oh, brother. All right. We are almost at the change of the hour. So thus far, the SPY has not broken its 15-minute Orbo. And we're not a half hour in, so it couldn't have broken its 30-minute Orbo either, the opening range for whatever time frame you care about. A lot of people trade the 15-minute. Even more people trade the half hour, and most people end up trading the first 60 minutes from 9:30 to 10:30, and that one's also called the initial balance. So as you can see here, the Qs broke to the upside on their 15-minute Orbo, and we're about to find out what's happening on the 30-minute Orbo in about 10 seconds. That could theoretically come into play. About 10 seconds. So whatever the 15-minute Orbo is today on the SPY, you're going to get that same overlap. It'll be the same one. The 15 and the 30 are the same high and low. The Q is a little bit different. The high is slightly off. So I'm hoping I get lucky here. Like I said, there's risk at 10 a.m. It maybe breaks your way. Maybe it doesn't. But what I can tell you is I'm really, really interested in moving my risk up another 10 points here. As of right now, I still have my risk in the right spot at 76. Dude, over the weekend, I try to do a lot of self-talk. I was like, dude, just trade exactly what the system tells you to do. I just want to be a vessel of Skynet, executing exactly time in ones again. Where is it at? Nope, still 76. Still 76 there. So this here, I need to mark this. 35. All right, mark that. And then okay. Let me do some backwards math. Backwards math. All right, so this is actually the most I could go for. 74. So that's the absolute max I'm willing to go for today. And then this is a trigger level on the system. Oh, okay. Good to know. Good to know. Well, we broke this shelf to the downside, quickly bounced out of it, and now we're holding VWAP on the NASDAQ, but we aren't making a fresh high, unfortunately. The SPY is nothing but range bound. It's literally just getting pinned to 6,000. All we've been doing is battling it out. Here, it's just, we go below 6,000, we pop above. We go below, we pop above. We go below, we pop above. We go below, we pop above. We go below. Will it pop above? I have no idea. Your guess is as good as mine, but all I could tell you is the bulls and the bears are actively battling it out at a very important technical level, psychological level, open interest level. It's just the battle of 6,000. And whichever way this breaks, there's probably going to be a good trade in there. I was hoping here and here and here and here and all of this, even at 10 a.m., I was hoping all of this would lead to like a follow through for the bulls. But every single time it tries to get going, it gets smacked right back down. So for all the times I felt good about the trade and it looks like it's about to go, and then it just doesn't, unfortunately. It's just Tesla's climbing. Tesla's going. Shit. Oh, I just wanted a lotto ticket play. I really did today. I just wanted it to go enough in my favor that I could move my stop to break even and just have a no sweat trade. A note, that's all I wanted. Was that too much to ask for? Instead, we had this range that broke to the top side, and then we just created a whole nother range that unfortunately this range is breaking against me. Fuck. All right. Can we hold green on the Qs and can we push back green on the SPY? Tesla's looking good. Meta's giving some of it back. MSTR is not doing anything. NVIDIA, not much. Broadcom's starting to go a little bit. Tesla's looking good. Palantir, Microsoft's picking up. Netflix is taking a bit of a hit. Apple, not much. Coin, a bit of a hit. ASML's looking good. Actually looking very good, up 2.4%. It's the biggest gainer on my watch list. So maybe semiconductors are getting a bit more excited. Maybe. What are you guys watching right now? Because the overall market, the SPY and the Qs are driving me to boredom. So I think it might make me see things that aren't actually there. So what are you guys doing? What are you guys trading? Are you guys seeing anything interesting? Feel free to call it out. I'm happy to put whatever up on the charts right now because like this, it's not, I don't know. ASM looks interesting. Tesla looks interesting. Even Avago right here, that's a nice pump. But ASML is the biggest gainer. Obviously, Tesla's in the news. Interesting recovery there. Netflix is getting hit. Oh, XLF is getting hit, the financial sector. What is NVTS? I see a lot of people talking about NVTS. 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 What is this one? It's a semiconductor play. It has to be a smaller one, right? Market cap 1.4 billion. Last week it's up 46%. Year to date it's up 101. The past month it's up 289%. Silver is on a run. QCOM. Yeah, silver's been funny enough. I was talking with the Spot Gamut team this morning, and we were kind of the opinion that that trade is all the same trade: long gold, long silver, long Bitcoin. And right now I definitely do. Where's Bitcoin's daily chart? Bitcoin, the 15-minute, maybe the 30-minute. I kind of want to get an active short-term trade on Bitcoin in here, but I'm just looking for that opportunity to strike. Maybe add an alert here just so I don't miss it. I'm invested in Bitcoin. I have it for the long term, but I like how this is setting up on the daily chart for a swing play. Just went up, retested, fake out breakdown. I'm liking a push back to 111, 112,000. So I want to play it. I'm just looking for that opportunity to strike. How's my other play? Literally just break even right now. Technically still down on the day from my first trade where I should have given this a bit more room. I should have put my stop on the other side of VWAP. That was a poor play. I guess I haven't had enough coffee this morning, but I might get lucky here. Oh, yeah, my risk is still at the proper spot, unfortunately, because we're just fucking going nowhere. I kind of want to lessen. I've been in this now for a little too long. I do want to lessen my risk a bit. But if I do it, am I just going to make the same mistake I did before where I put it at a level that just gets like slightly broken and then it goes in my favor anyway? Oh, the SPY is in the battle of the century. This battle of 6,000 at SPX is no different than Sinner and Alcaraz yesterday. For anyone who watched the tennis French Open, it was just over 5 hours of tennis, perfectly tied at the end there. Absolutely crazy. It's the same battle. If you watched Alcaraz versus Sinner at the French Open yesterday, there's no more perfect analogy than this battle. at 6,000 on SPX of just like what the hell is going on. The Qs are showing a bit more strength, which is why I'm long NQ instead of ES right now, just because it's slightly advantageous to be bullish the one that's a bit stronger. Obviously, it's above its close, slightly more green on the day. I have no MVTS position. I just put it up because you guys were talking about it. I wouldn't go long on it at this moment because your risk is so far away, unless you're literally just, and it's like basically a penny stock. It's interesting. If you had it, obviously ride it, but to just chase something that's going, I'm not the biggest fan of that. Oh, brother. Hmm. 80 points. So it actually wants 80 points. 80. Interesting. 80 points. That's an interesting trade on NQ. Oh, even this, every single time I think we're about to get going, my dreams just get stolen. The S&P 500, I'm like, okay, cool. That was a little flush here at 10:03. We're about to get going. I see tech picking up, but no, as someone astutely pointed out in chat here, the reason tech is looking good, but yet the SPY is so flat, is because the financial sector is getting murked right now. XLF is the financial subsector of the S&P 500. For my visual learners in chat, it is this block down here, right here. Financials. You can see how all these insurance plays are super red. It is this subsector that's keeping the SPY down, and then that's really kind of the definition of the Nasdaq, is just lack of financial plays in reality. So yeah, it's tech heavy, but specifically there's just no financial plays. Look at what happens when you strip out financials today. It's looking great. Looking great. Okay, I can update my risk. Updating. All right, so I have two options. I could either take the way the system works in one of two ways. I could either take my profits at this first profit target, or I could just move my stop to break even and take no risk and then go for the second profit target. The system that I'm building out is a scaling system, as in you're supposed to trade multiple. You're supposed to scale out at profit target 1, move your stop on the leftover to break even, and then see if you can catch a runner for the second one. Right now, because of the buffer within my account, I don't have the capability of trading multiple contracts. So I'm not trading multiple contracts. So I have to make the decision in real time. Do I take my profit at level 1 and just be done and say, hey, I'm green on the day and move on with my life? Or do I treat it as if it's the second half and just move my stop to break even and see if I could get the runner to the next one? I could have traded multiple MNQ. I could have traded the micros, and I could have done half and half. But that's why I have these two levels, because I have to make a decision. I have to make a decision here of what I want to do. And the fact that the SPY is starting to go right here, it is making me a bit more optimistic for the second option of just going to break even. Because I think we just tagged it. Folks. But I do have a loser on the day. So if I just got out now, it would make me green on the day. That's another thing to consider. If this were my first trade, whatever, stop goes to break even. Worst case scenario, you're break even on the day. The fact that I did have that one first stupid trade, I have to consider the account. But I could also handle a $350 loss. Like if I just keep that as my loss on the day. All right, at this point, it would be stupid for me to lose any more money. So stop is set to break even. We're done with that conversation. The question now is okay, when you're in a hole, one of the best things you could do is stop digging. So I stopped digging. Your boy's not going any deeper in this hole. The question is do I take this money? Or a third option, just because I'm like kind of in between since I'm not trading multiple contracts here, is I could just be hyper aggressive and just try to get my stop to that level as like just like hyper aggressive, like even on a push to 50, and just say, hey, if it comes back, well, I'm taking profit target 1 anyway. But if I get lucky and it like pushes, like I could, if I wanted to, I could literally just move it to this wick and basically be in at that level. The chance of a pullback and tagging me out are very high, but at least I'm then giving myself an opportunity of, if this is an explosive run, well, then I could get out. So I don't know. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. I could use this low too, just be hyper aggressive about it. That's about 20 points. If I move it to this low, that would take care of this loss. So the worst case scenario would be break even on the day. Something to consider. Something to consider. Using this right here, because if it tags me, doesn't matter. I'd be slightly green on the day. I kind of like the sound of that, because if I put it here, at least I'm paying off my loss. And if it does run, we caught one. We're catching a fish. My stop, not only is it set to break even, this is actually what the bot is calling for as my current risk. So I like that. The bot is saying that to move my stop to break even right now. I'm thinking about being overly aggressive and moving it up to this recent low. Oh, I'm thinking about being overly aggressive. Double down. I cannot, just don't have enough buffer right now to trade multiple. So that was a nice breakout. So the SPY still has not broken its 15-minute or its 30-minute Orbo. The Nasdaq has. It broke bullishly on the 15-minute Orbo, and then it broke bullishly on the 30-minute Orbo. So double bullish breakout on the Nasdaq, no breakout thus far on the S&P 500. Okay. I move my stop up to here, so no matter what, I'm taking in 20 points, $400. So worst case scenario for me on the day is net ahead $50 on all 25 of my accounts. I have 20 Apex accounts and 5 take profit accounts. These take profits are the test ones, and I've already passed it, so they just sit there and I don't really trade them. So the fact that I move my stop all the way up here, overwriting the system a little bit. The system is currently calling for it to be at 810. So I'm overriding it by about 10, 15, 16 points. But what's important about this level is not only is it a recent low, but it is also enough to pay off this loss. So it just gets me green on the day, which I think is good for my psychology. So it's just ensuring that I'll get rid of that red, but yet, I could get out now and be net ahead $500, which is sick. But also, what if it just keeps going? What if I caught? You never know when you're going to catch a nice trend, so you kind of have to take a stab at it with good risk management, because you never know when that nice trend's going to come. And I'm a little worried because the SPY is just getting no follow through. So the Nasdaq's looking good. People are liking tech right now, but it's just right here. We get this pop, and the SPY is just not doing shit. The financial sector is just looking so incredibly lethargic. So incredibly lethargic. How are my swing positions doing? Not bad. Not good. I'm green on the Russell, red on the Nasdaq, red on the SPY. So I'm 1 for 3, but they're roughly canceling each other out. This is bot trading, folks. Sometimes it's boring as hell. You just follow the bot. I did override it one time, and that's I aggressively move the stop to ensure I don't lose money. But even that, whatever. If it tags it, it tags it. Knowing my luck, it will tag it. The bot would have stayed in the whole time, and this goes all the way up to the secondary target. Totally possible, but I don't know. As I was alluding to before, I had a lot of self-talk over the weekend, and my goal for this week, and I'm going to split it up into individual day goals, is to every single time know, like, personal gut feeling manual trades. I want to do all systematic trades. I just want to take the system, and more important than taking the system trade is I just want to keep very tight risk on every single one, because if I can go from today to Friday in good shape, there is a chance I could get a gnarly payout from both Apex and Take Profit Trader. So that's really the goal. That's really the goal All right. Where my cursor is now is where I guess the bot is saying to set risk. So it's getting even closer to my override, but I'm thinking about overriding it even more and putting it above the first profit target level, because at that point, you can't even complain. You're like, yeah, if you just took the first profit target, you took the first profit target. Come on. Or I could set it right there anyway. And then this is kind of what I was thinking about out loud not too long ago, is on a little bit of a push. I said I could just aggressively move it up here, and then I have really nothing to cry about because that's like a legit exit for at least half the position, but I'm only trading one. So I kind of have to pick between profit target 1 and profit target 2. The SPY caught a nice bid there. What time is it? It's 10:18. All right. I'm going to set an alert just so we know if this does or doesn't break out. Where are we over here? On SPX, it is 6,009. Let me set that alert as well so we know. What are we doing with bitty bitty Bitcoin? Bitty bitty Bitcoin. Bitty bitty Bitcoin. All right, we're almost at the high from Friday on Qs. That's 531.80. We're at 531.45, so about 30 cents, give or take. NVIDIA not doing much. MSTR picking up. Meta flat. Broadcom actually looking somewhat decent. Ever since this somewhat of a earnings overreaction, in my humble opinion. Tesla still showing bearishness on the daily. Netflix giving a little bit back. Apple's actually picking up a little bit of excitement going into their conference. Coin nothing. ASML technical breakout. If you guys are trading ASML, that's definitely looking nice. Breakout, pullback, double bottom, triple bottom, whatever you want to call it. Double bottom bounce, breakout, nice follow through, cup it, like literally whatever you want to call it. But you're looking for the continuation above 785-ish. What alert did I just get? I got some Bitcoin alert. I did get a Bitcoin alert. Okay. What was I supposed to do on that alert? What was I supposed to do? Okay, that trade is done. Here, if you're in the Discord, I did not get a fill, apparently. Oh, I did get a fill. Just took a second to load. Here, if you're in the Discord, I just made a new swing play. It's the one that I broke down in this morning's breakdown anyway. All right, here, where's the Discord? Discord people, where are you? Okay, if you're in the Discord, I just posted my new trade that I kind of outlined this morning before the market opened for y'all. Oh, hey, we're getting kind of close. All right, so I'm going to move my stop up to above. Ooh, do I want to do it exactly at that? Fuck it. All right, my stop is now above the first profit target level. Yes, I'm being a bit more aggressive than the bot. The bot is telling me to move my risk to 75, which is where I was break even. But here, I mean, the trade is up net 1,000. I don't want to let it give that much back. I mean, I like making these types of gains. I'm up about a net 700 per account. I just don't want it to pull back that much. I'm happy with it. Part of me is, do I even want to move it more to 46? I mean, obviously, I would still love for it to hit all the way up here. I just don't want to have to withstand any crazy drawdown or something like that. I'm really thinking about moving it to 46. 40 points, that's $800. That would be net 500 on the day on 25 accounts. That's 12.5 grand. Dude, you don't want to somehow fumble a 12 grand opportunity, you know? This isn't that far off though. I'm at 39, that's 46. That's only 5 points. It's not like it's wildly different between those two. We'll see. Maybe, hopefully I don't even have to sweat it. Hopefully it just pops all the way up and I just bada bing, bada boom, start off the week on a good note. One little misstep here. I think I was a little bit overly eager with my risk, which I guess I would be overly eager. I prefer that rather than underly eager, if that is even a statement. We had to take some smoke, rode up, not bad. And I am trading on all 25 accounts, 20 Apex accounts, they're all funded. On 5 take profit accounts, all funded. I've maxed out. You can only have 20 on Apex. You can only have 5 on take profit. The only way for me to trade more right now would be to go to a completely different firm. So I'm up. Hopefully I'm up 1,000 on each, because then that would be a 25K day. But net right here about 800. So we're almost there. A little bit more of a push and we'll be good. A little bit more of a push. All right, I moved it up even more to 46 now. I moved it up even more. And why I'm being a bit aggressive here is just in case there's a rejection at the high on the Qs or the opening high on the SPY. So we're getting dangerously close to Friday's high on tech, and we're getting dangerously close to the intraday high on the SPY. So just in case there's some profit taking before my levels hit, I just don't want to give that much of it back, just because you never know if the profit taking leads to more of like a waterfall. I don't want to get caught up in that. And if it pulls back enough and then refires and goes again, well, I could always get back in on that signal. So just paying attention to where we are coming up on important technical levels, just in case traders start to react to those levels. I don't want to be holding the hot potato. I do not want to be holding the hot potato when the musical chairs game ends. But we're about to get both the 15-minute and the 30-minute Orbo breakout on the SPY. The Qs already did that, both at 9:54 and then at 10:09. And in fact, we're going for a true daily bar breakout here soon on the Qs. Right here, we're breaking from the Friday's action was an inside bar, as in the high and the low were within the high and the low from Thursday. So Friday's high and low inside the high and the low. That's why it's called an inside bar. But we're about to break above that, which would then lead a natural target to 533. So if you're people who trade inside bars, this is the basic setup. Upon a break of 531.80, they would then target the next high, 533.05, and the risk would be the inside bar's low, 528.21. So it's a negative risk to reward ratio. You're going for less reward than you are risking, but if the accuracy of the trade is high enough, it could still be net profitable. Uh-oh, we're pulling back a little bit. Come on, can I get lucky, or is it going to come tag me? No matter what, I'm going green on the day. Obviously, I'm up 1,000 on the trade, but I've locked in a $350 loss, so I could just get out now for 600, but I'm risking this low. I'm hoping this pullback is just that, a little bit of a baby pullback. I appreciate it. I would have liked it way better if we just went from like just straight up, but is it going to come tag me, unfortunately? If it does, it does. That's part of trading. Part of trading. I would prefer it didn't. I would prefer come on. Come on. Come on. There we go. A little bit of a pullback. Just give me mine, and then from there, it's all on you guys at that point. Come on. Bring me to the promised land. Do I want to move it up 5 more points? That's another $100 guaranteed. Come on. It's giving me hope. That's a dangerous thing. Red, 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 red. Then that one nice green potential reversal. Hope. It's a dangerous game. All right. What else do we have moving? What else do we have moving? See, the SPY and the Qs, we have some profit taking happening right before the intraday breakout on the SPY and right before the daily breakout on the Qs. In fact, that's the first red bar we've seen in a minute. Avago looking good. Tesla at 294. MSTR is actually starting to go with Bitcoin. Bitcoin waking up. Nvidia. There we go. Tesla, Palantir, Microsoft. Netflix oddly weak today. Microsoft is looking good. All right, SPX. SPX just broke out of its intraday high, and the SPY is not far behind, a couple cents. But SPX, which I would argue is a bit more important, breaking out, setting up the next target of 6,020, which would be roughly $1 higher on the SPY, bringing us to 601 if we are able to hit that next SPX target level. But let's see. Man, I was hoping on that little pop it would be enough. It wasn't. We barely made a fresh high here on NQ. Is it going to get a little smackarood? We got up to 66, and my target was at 74. And I just keep trailing behind price. SpaghettiOs. SpaghettiOs. Come on, bounce. Yep. As soon as SPX made that fresh intraday high, profit taker stepping in, which, like, I get it. This is kind of, I was hoping by the time we hit that fresh high that I would already be out of here, which is why I was aggressively, I don't know. I guess they were my visions of grandeur. And we really didn't have even that much farther to go, unfortunately. But I get it. I know that people like to target, especially like active day traders, scalp traders. That's a common target, is like the recent extremes, the recent high, the recent low. So what you're seeing right here is as soon as we hit that high, that was people's targets. They rode it bullish up to that level, and then they said thanks, and they're probably done with their day. So it's unfortunate for me that we just didn't go a little bit more in the Qs, but it happens. It happens. I'm trying to give myself a shot by hopefully I don't get wicked, but I think it's about to knock me out. It's getting dangerously close. But even if it does, I'll be net green on the day to the tune of like $450, $500 per account. Like I said, that's about $12,500. I'm not going to complain about it. Just thinking out loud, trying to explain what the hell is going on and a little bit of the psychology behind it. But see, this, the second we made a fresh high, got hit. That's just people locking in their profits. You could see it here a little bit in the Mag 7 Delta flow. You could see it here in the SPY options flow. People just, they targeted that level. Do I think we keep going? Yeah, I do. But just by the fact that I'm not 100% guaranteeing that, and like you never know what happens in the market, that's why I still have my stop. You could say, well, hey man, like if you're that confident we do keep going, why wouldn't you just put your stop to break even and let it breathe? Well, because I do have a losing trade, I'd like to lock some in, and just on the off chance that it does actually legit revert from there, which if you trade long enough, you're going to find those bad beats. I don't want to give up that much money. Much more focused on the downside rather than the upside. Come on. Can I get lucky? Can I get lucky? All right. Hopefully this is a higher low. Come on. Come on. 5-minute bullish, 10-minute bullish, 30-minute, 4-hour bullish. All right. Come on. There we go.
Order canceled.
Bada bing, bada boom. You saw it. $1,000 on 20 Apex accounts. $1,000 on 5 take profit accounts. 20 plus 5 is 25, as in 25,000 locked in real time. 2 trades today, 1 winning trade, 1 losing trade. The losing trade was $350. The winning trade was $1,400. I am happy with that. I'm good. I don't need to trade anymore. I got in 50-50 on the day, and that just kind of shows you what risk management can do. Even if you're a 50-50 trader, you can be net ahead by 25K. The game of trading, most of the time, you're going to be within the realm of being right and wrong half the time. So if you're right and wrong about half the time, how do you become massively net profitable? That's the question. The answer to it is really small losses when you're wrong and really big wins when you're right. That's what you need to do. So even here, 50-50. I lost a trade and I made a trade, except when I lost $350. When I was right, I made $1,400. It was so asymmetrically skewed. That's how you lock it in. And so, hey, good start to the week. But even there, look at that pop right away. They just took more profit taking. That's crazy. And then if I had more shares, the bot would still be long. That's crazy. The bot would be riding this entire thing. That's insane. Insane. Well, that's it for me, though, just because I don't need to overstay my welcome. So in terms of my day trades, that's it. 25K locked in. Yeah, could I go for more? Of course. But then I would also be risking it. Why risk it? Why not start off the week on a good step, you know? So all of the Apex accounts are at 53 and a little bit of change. And then the take profit accounts are at 54.5. So I started trading the take profits a little bit earlier. So that's why they have an extra 1.5K. So I'm thinking about taking out some of the money from those just to not only pay myself, but also to get those values to be the exact same. But I don't know. I'll consider that later because it's one of those things where like, hey, money in your bank account's money in your bank account. And I get that. But then on the other side, if the money goes to your bank account, then you have less of a buffer. And what I've noticed from this game of sim to funded trading, the hardest part is building out your buffer. That is by far the most difficult part. So I don't know. I'm thinking about it, but I would also love to run these up to 55, 54, 55 so I can get a payout there. That's why I just need to keep the trains on the track for now 4 more days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Because if I could do that, 4 more days of just not being a degenerate, 4 days, and I could get a big payout from Apex and a big payout from Take Profit Trader. We're talking, I don't know, close to like a 50 grand payout this week if I can just not do dumb shit. So my goal is to just stick exactly to the system. That is 100% the goal. Do exactly what the system tells me to do and just pray that the system doesn't take some sort of outsized bad beat this particular week. Let me do this. Close workspace. Yes to all. All right, shut that down. Cool. Actually, let me make sure all my orders are canceled. I don't want any rogue orders. Trump lets U.S. Treasury Secretary Bessent levy tax sale on something. Market seemingly reacting to that. Let me make sure all my orders are canceled. I just don't want to have rogue orders ruining my day. Cancel all orders. Okay, cool. Just double check. Sanity check. But you guys saw it all in real time. You saw it all in real time. SPY fresh high. Q's fresh high. We'll see how it goes. We're going to see what kind of day we're having. We're going to see. We are holding above 6,000. That's nice. We got that. So this would have triggered that play, like I said, up to 533.05. Like I said, that's a negative risk to reward skew. It's asymmetric the other way, taking on more risk to reward, but technically still acceptable if you have a high enough hit rate. So that would be the play currently playing out in the tech sector. The S&P 500 does not have a similar setup. It wasn't that inside bar, but we are looking just to take out this high at almost 601. It's 600.83, and today we got within 43 cents of it. Small cap sector is looking good. I'd prefer that it goes all the way up to 216, this recent structural high in early March. But I do like the gap up. I like the follow through, and as everyone in the Discord knows, I am actively playing that and actually making a good chunk of change off that one. How is that play doing? How's that play doing? Actually, this play was called out on Friday. I'm already up 20%, up about 5K on the IWM call. So if you're interested in trading with me and kind of looking at the market the way I do and just joining a cool community, mattkohrs.locals.com, that's how you can get into the trading Discord. And remember, your first month is free if you use that code Goonie when you are signing up. If you are using that code Goonie, Avago, I like the recovery on Avago. Avago. We dip down. 48. The dip was that's a $7 dip. But what if this thing does recover all the way back up to 260? Avago. Really paying attention over there. Nvidia's taken off. Even Tesla's having a decent intraday recovery. A lot of things are now having a decent intraday recovery with the SPY and the Qs popping. We just need the silly tech sector to keep the silly financial sector from ruining our day. But okay, the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ both had a bullish 15-minute and a 30-minute Orbo breakout, and we are currently waiting for the initial balance breakout, which is the 60-minute Orbo, which would be on the SPY at 600.40, and on the Qs that would come in at 532.35. So that is the opening hour high. So we're waiting for that 15-minute, 30-minute, both bullish, and we're waiting for the initial balance, aka the first hour, to see which way that breaks. So basically, it's just the intraday high. Will that come before or after, or not at all, relative to the intraday low, which is the intraday low on both of these? It happens to be the 15-minute, the 30-minute, and the 60-minute breakdown level. They're all one and the same today. Doesn't always happen that way, but that is what we are getting today. That is what we're getting today. Mag 7 flow looking bullish. S&P 500 was looking bullish. A little bit of profit taking right now. Individually, Tesla bullish. Nvidia very bullish. Palantir nothing. Microsoft choppy. Apple was bullish, giving a little bit back. Netflix bearish. MSTR was bearish a little bit, but then got pretty freaking bullish. Meta was bullish, giving some of it back. Avago, we'll add this one. Nothing, and then all of a sudden, what did we get there? Someone bought some longer dated calls for sure, right at 957. Huge pump in the delta. I wonder what those were. Can we see? Filters. I want to just know the big one. Premium, open interest, volume, selling calls, buying puts. I just want to know the big one. Someone right around 954 really let that one rip on old AVGO, seemingly betting on some form of a recovery. I mean, pretty evident in the chart right where it happened. Massive size. Massive size. NVIDIA's going right now, folks. What's the daily chart on NVIDIA looking like? A nice technical breakout. Damn. This was a nice play to somehow, like, I just wish I got in on the 7th. Minimal risk, cloud recapture. Oh, what a beautiful play. MSCR, Meta's following through, Broadcom, Tesla's fighting back, Palantir's not doing anything, Microsoft right below the all-time high, Netflix, small breather, Apple really looks like it wants to break out, Coin, nothing, ASML, legit technical breakout, RUM trying to hold this higher low, DJT, Qualcomm, is also, QCOM's looking real good, folks. I have no play on this one, but that's nice higher lows. Consolidation, rip. You're looking for the breakout of 156, next level 161. From there, you might be then talking the low 170s. But if you had that play, if you caught it in this like consolidation, congrats. I don't know if I necessarily chase it right here. Looking good. Texas Row House, consolidating, bonds getting clipped. Oil breaking out bullish, gold going sideways, vol 17 not doing anything really. Not really doing anything. Where's Bitcoin at? Bitty Bitcoin. Bitty Bitcoin. All right. Yeah, we have some profit takers still here on SPX. People not wanting it seemingly above. Well, if 6,000 can hold, really if 610 can hold, I think there's a pretty decent shot of us visiting 6,020. But I do want to remind everyone that Captain Condor is sitting at 6,040. You can kind of see it here. This play up, you could probably better see it actually on this. We have a call credit spread up here at 6,040 by 6,045. And then there's a put credit spread down here. 5955 spread by 5950. So those are the bounds that people are, I don't know, that Discord is saying we're going to be within today. Yes, they're right often, but we've also seen times that they've been blown out. So I don't think I would take what they say as gospel. There's some long calls here at 6,020, but then there's some short calls here at 6,025 and 30. So that's a bit of positive gamma resistance, more of a mean reverting type of a setup. So 6,020, I still like that as a target. That's a long 2,000 contracts. But we're getting a little smack now because the financial sector is just not looking groovy, my man. Financials are getting destroyed this morning. Destroyed. What's the dollar doing? Is the dollar just dying? Not as bad. It was a pump. Giving a little bit back since market open. Financials are really getting... Is it because bonds are just so bad? Bonds going down. They're at 80. TLT is at 85. That's crazy. What are yields looking like? What's the yield curve? Positive, kind of. Not really the difference between the 10 and the 2. Not much. Is anyone seeing any news on why financials are getting hit so hard today? Is it concern about the upcoming inflation, the Fed, or like what in the world's going on? That is anyone seeing any news? Did I miss it? Trump gives U.S. negotiators room to lift export controls on China. Trump lets U.S. Treasury Secretary Bessent levy textile controls and lets negotiators weigh lifting export controls in China talks. That's good. That is good. As in the fact that that's public information means it's probably going to happen. I'm not really seeing any other news right now. I'm not seeing it. Why is Robinhood's down? Because it didn't. People were betting for whatever reason that it would be included in the S&P 500 in the rebalance, and it just wasn't. So it got smacked. People were buying it up in anticipation that it would be included, and then it did not get the official nod. So that's why it got hit after a pretty decent run, honestly. Pretty decent run. Pretty decent run. All right, let me check these tools just to see where some of the bigger players are positioning themselves. We have some support at 6,000 below, and we have more support at 5,950 on SPX. And then the resistance above is 60.20. That's a very important one. And then from there, 60.40. But 60.20 as of now represents more resistance than 60.40. Once again, those are your SPX levels real time. And then let me check one more tool for you guys. Calls are staying pretty constant. Puts are getting a bit weaker. They're playing higher and higher strikes, but we're just not getting... There's no metrics that I'm seeing here suggesting a strong trending day. Not only can you evidently see that from the price in front of your face, but even the underlying data is saying, not much of a trending day. Not much of a trending day. IWM, it's holding 212, the high 212s. We're seeing the SPY take a bit of a hit after that fake out breakout. Try to make a fresh high, and we just couldn't have nice things, I suppose. Couldn't have nice things. Yeah, all right, look at that. Profit taking. People are selling their zero DTE calls. The green line is the zero DTE call delta. So people starting at 10:10 really bought calls up until 10:32. So there was 20 plus minutes of aggressive zero DTE call buying. And then ever since we got that breakout, people started to take their profits. And then that's one thing, but why this sell-off is a little bit more extreme than most people want it to be is because people also started to buy zero DTE puts. So you're removing positive delta and adding negative delta, which basically at 2x the speed drops your overall delta reading. So that's for the S&P 500. For the Mag 7, completely different story. Yeah, there's a bit of a hit in the Mag 7, but it's a small one. Overall, that trend is still pretty bullish. So what we're seeing today is tech is strong, profit takers in the SPY, maybe because financials are so weak, whatever it is. I mean, we could guess why people are doing what they're doing, but at the end of the day, that's not how you make money. You make money on just knowing the actual like numbers of are they buying, are they selling? Why someone buys or sells, it doesn't really fucking matter. All that matters is how much buying, how much selling, what's the imbalance, where's the liquidity, like that type of stuff. We could guess why someone wants to be bullish or bearish, but in reality, you're never going to be know definitively why. Like right now, it could be a day trader, it could be a long-term investor, it could be some big pension. Like you just don't know. It could be as something as quick as high-frequency traders in and out because their AI system is noticing something, or it could be we're like someone at the start of a month, and it could be some massive hedge fund rebalancing. So as to why someone buys or sells at whatever point, once again, we can guess, and it might be an educated guess, but it doesn't matter why. What matters is what are they doing, the actual impact. The actual impact. Oh, are we missing any news? Uranium ETF ripping URA. I've never traded that. Breaking 2 hours ago. Trade talks between the U.S. and China have officially started in London. I don't think we've gotten an update. Homeland Security order will be restored. Order will be restored. If you say so. If you say so. The fact that they are calling them mostly peaceful. Highway patrol vehicles pelted with rocks by pro-migrant rioters in Los Angeles. Officers were forced to abandon vehicles on the highway as violent rioters began throwing rocks. That's crazy. That is crazy. There's also a weird fight between these two over the weekend. A little bit of basketball talk. I'm not really... Unless I need to reload it. Here's the actual video of this insane quote. Actual quote. Wait, what was this?
Large group of people. It could turn very volatile if you move law enforcement in there in the wrong way and turn what is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn into a massive confrontation and altercation between officers and demonstrators. So a large group.
Wow, that is quite. They're just having fun watching cars burn. Nothing wrong there. Just a group of people having fun watching some cars burn. Scalpers are selling Sydney Sweeney's bath water soap for a $20,000 profit. The sold out soap bar retailed at $8 and was being listed for $1,600. Dude, we have like a simp incel problem. The fact that people are paying $1,600 for a bar of soap made out of bath water or whatever from Sydney Sweeney. We have a legit incel problem. What is this one?
And the LAPD police chief, Jim McDonnell, says the level of violence he's been seeing across Los Angeles, in his word, and I'm quoting him now, is disgusting. Given that, why shouldn't the National Guard be involved?
Well, I was surprised at the way that the police chief was describing all of this. There have been no violence where anybody that was protesting hit anybody, shot anybody, threatened anybody. Nothing has happened. And so he doesn't know what to do, probably, because this is a sanctuary city, and the police don't have the authority. All that he's got to do is work with the governor. The governor was not even called when he sent in the National Guard. The mayor was not even called. The president is initiating this purposely. He knows what he's doing. If he was, thinking, well, first of all, he started all this with the targeting, all of the migrants in the way that he's doing. And so, if we had people who were working together and cooperating, the governor would have been contacted, the mayor would have been contacted, and they would have said to the police, whatever the sanctuary city is, if we need to undo that at this time so that the police will have the authority, we can do that. But no, the president doesn't want that. He wants to use his power. And I am predicting he will go so far as to create martial law.
I just want to point out, and I'm sure you know this, Congresswoman, there has been some violence in the course of these protests. Some police officers were assaulted, and some vehicles were damaged in the process. So there has been some violence out there, right?
Well, the thing about it is you may have people, one or two or a few people, who will not conform. That happens everywhere. That happens in our workplace. There's always someone who does something. But we are saying to people, don't.
There's always that one work colleague who just lights cars on fire. We've all been it. If you guys have spent more than 1 month in corporate America, we all know you have that crazy colleague, Carl, who just loves arson. I can't disagree with her. We all know that one crazy colleague who you're like, hey, Carl, what'd you do this weekend? He's like, just lit shit on fire. Oh, just lit shit on fire. She's not wrong.
Don't be goaded. Don't be goaded into a confrontation. Don't be goaded into violence, because that's what Trump wants. He wants the violence so that he can send in the military and create martial law. That's what he wants. And if a few people were doing that, I've not heard of anybody being shot. I've not heard of anybody being killed. I've not heard of anybody being beaten. So I don't know what all this so-called violence is all about.
All right, Congresswoman Maxine Waters of.
What's kind of interesting is when a similar vibe happened at the Capitol, it's an insurrection because it was right-leaning Republican identified people. But when left-leaning liberal Democrat applied or identified people do it, it is mostly peaceful protests. You can't have it both ways. Either they're both peaceful or they're not. It doesn't change their peacefulness based on if you agree with that political party. You have to have some sort of consistency. For you to be logically consistent, they're either both peaceful or neither of them are peaceful. You gotta pick. You have to pick. This flipping of like, no, it's peaceful when my side does it, but it's not peaceful when the other side does it. That doesn't make sense, folks. Doesn't make sense, folks. All right, what else are we missing? What else? What other hot news? What other hot news? That's funny. Paid insurrectionists. Yep. Here's another peaceful. The Bank of America going to voluntarily hand over the names of all the insurrectionists who used their bank accounts in Los Angeles this weekend to President Trump's DOJ. Google's pissed. Am I fucking taking crazy pills? Am I only seeing Mexican flags? Yeah. Does no one else see... I don't think this is the right word, but does no one else see the irony in that? So if the peaceful protest is to basically say, hang on, these people are Americans, they should stay in America, why are we using Mexican flags? Like if that's the point of this, is like, hang on, we shouldn't be deporting people. These illegal immigrants aren't illegal. Allow them to stay in the U.S. because it's a good country. They have economic opportunity. They have educational opportunity. They have familial opportunity. Why would you be using the flag of the country that they're getting like that? I don't really get. I don't get it. Is no one else getting confused by that? Like, if the whole point is don't send us, wouldn't then you be saying, no, we actually like the U.S., we want to be here in the U.S.? Someone's going to have to explain that to me and break out the crayons, because I just don't follow. The flags are to show support, right? But in this case, that's the opposite. That they picked the wrong flag. I don't get it. I don't even know if they get it. I think people just like to protest to protest. It's something to do over the weekend. I'm not even sure if they know why they're there. They're just there because it was a nice 75 sunny day in LA. They were working on their tan, and they're like, you know what sounds fun? Throwing rocks at cars. It's out of control. The governor has done. Well, does anyone even like Newsom? I think he's only there because he's like he's a Democrat representative in a very Democrat state. Like, has anyone ever said, dude, Newsom is such a great governor? I don't even think hardcore Democrats like him. I think he just effectively doesn't run against anyone who has apparently an opportunity to do well. But like, I'm not even convinced that like hardcore Democrats like Newsom. I don't even know if Newsom likes Newsom. I think he even looks at himself in the mirror and he's like, fuck, dude, I suck. All right, surprise, surprise. We are knocked right back down to equilibrium. The closing value on the SPY. We are holding green on the Qs. The financial sector sucks, but where are we at in the day? It's almost 11 now. It's almost 11, almost a new hour. Mostly peaceful protests. Australian TV reporter Lauren was shot by LAPD with rubber bullets while covering. Why did they shoot a reporter?
Rubber bullets at protesters, moving them on through the heart of LA.
Dude. Whoa. Wait. Dude, that cop intentionally popped her.
Rubber bullets at protesters, moving them on
Watch
through
this
the
guy
heart of
on the
LA.
left of the screen. Dude, this guy like aimed up at her. Clearly, she is a reporter. What the fuck? Like, what? What is going on out there? This is crazy, dude. He just... Well, he's fired. Like, so evidently pressed. And he just shot her in the ass. What? Oh. California versus Tennessee tonight. Well, I have to admit, one of these does look a lot more fun. One of them looks safer, but the other one looks a lot more fun for sure. All right, that's kind of it at this point. Where are we at? Bouncing off of the closing value. Could be a low risk, high reward opportunity. That long, Mag 7 could look a little bit better. How's the SPY options flow? Okay, SPY options flow is picking back up. I do like that. Right here, you have well-defined risk at this 11 or 1048 low. The play is ideally, well, what I would like to see is actually a push all the way up to 6,020. So low risk entry, higher reward. I don't know if it works out. I just know your risk is very much in control. So I would like to see some people come in and starting to hit the ask the way that cop did, and maybe we pop up to a new intraday low. But once again, this game is all about, can you get in on low, well-defined risk? I like this. I think this actually might be the trade of the day. The 11 a.m. long, we're breaking this shelf, well-defined risk, and like I said, you're kind of targeting 6,020 on SPX as that first level, and then past that, if you're really overconfident, 6,040 would be the next one. But quick tap of the closing value quick tap of 6,000, quick tap of the transition zone. Once again, why I like it so much is not necessarily for how much it could go up, and I do think it goes up. It's more of like you have such well-defined risk. That's why I'm such a fan of it. So just calling that out. But folks, that's pretty much what I have for you. Shout out to Public. They are the partner of today's stream. It would mean the world to me if you guys check it out. I love it. It's free to download, free to sign up. Check it out. Make sure you use that link because you'll start out at a higher rebate tier because once again, every single time you trade an options contract, you're gonna get paid. So show them a little bit of love. Pin to the top of chat in the description of the video. That's what I have for you guys now. I'm gonna go hang out in the Discord. Remember, if you want to join the Discord, the first month is free if you use that code Goonie. Just find the link in the description of this video. But shout out to Public. Shout out to the Goonie Discord. We'll be posting an update video later on today after the market closes just to recap all the crazy things we're seeing, and then we're going to be streaming once again tomorrow morning. Hope to see you there. Hope you make a lot of money today. Hope you make a shitload of money today. If you're in LA, please be safe. If you have family, friends, loved ones in LA, tell them to be safe. The whole situation's crazy. So that's just it's crazy that this is going on in the modern era, but hey, I guess it is what it is. I appreciate all the good vibes. I'll catch you guys later. Have a good one. Peace.